So what else do we have?
Well,
Keith?
you want to get into this? You go, girl. What do you want to do next here?
Well, let's just talk real quick about a couple of sales that occurred recently at Barrett-Jackson.
All right.
And we won't spend too much time on this, but as you guys know, every year Barrett-Jackson has an auction and in Scottsdale, which I'm disappointed because of COVID. I had an end to be able to go to that this year, and because of COVID, unable to travel. But there were a couple of vehicles of notoriety that went for a lot of money, and typically, numbered vehicles, when you're the first one off the assembly line, the first production vehicle, and the numbers are what they are, VIN 001, like in the case of the Hummer. The Hummer EV Pickup hasn't even been built yet, but it went at Barrett-Jackson for $2.5 million.
Oh boy,
the buyer, yeah, that's a lot of money.
I mean, I guess I'm okay with that coming out of GM. Some of those stuff like we were talking about recently with Lordstown and even Nikola, where people, there's no way I would do it from a manufacturer like that. I wouldn't even do it on a Rivian, and they've got production information. I mean, they're they're tweeting out videos all the time of them on test drives, but I guess it's pretty much a sure thing with GM, right? I mean,
yeah, it's happening, man. I mean, I'm really interested in seeing what this thing is going to be looking like in person.
And that will be, correct me if I'm wrong here, but historically significant because it's the first all-electric truck to come out of the General Motors family, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
And what's cool about this, and as you all well know, Barrett-Jackson is huge into arranging proceeds going to specific causes, and this one is really a good cause. So first of all, the buyer, she does not give her name, and they're not going to give her name. She'll receive the vehicle with VIN 001 when it rolls off the assembly line at Factory Zero, is what they call it in Detroit, and that's the Hamtramck plant this fall. The proceeds are going to the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. It's a nonprofit that honors firefighter Stephen Siller, who died on September 11, 2001. What this group does is they help injured military and first responders and the families of those who died in the line of duty. So I commend Barrett-Jackson and GM for stepping up, and this lady that purchased this for stepping up and contributing to that cause. So it didn't end there. It did not end there. What else did they auction off, Keith?
Well, you're going to want to talk about that Bronco, and I'm going to mention before we get to that the Ford family, I believe it was at the same auction, unloaded one of their family-owned, meaning the Ford family had this in their collection, one of their old vintage Ford station wagons.
Right.
And it was kind of a dud. Like, it didn't bring what I think everybody expected. But the Bronco, so here we go, like, car that's been around, vintage, owned by the Ford family for, I don't know how many decades, lots, or brand new, shiny, whatever that, in the case of the Hummer hasn't even been built yet. In the case of this Bronco, I believe it was actually, it was ready to be sold. But yeah, one of the new Broncos, right?
Yeah, it's VIN 001 as well, as a 2021 Bronco two-door. That money will go to the National Forest Foundation and Outward Bound. That one went for $1.075 million, which GM's got to be poking their chest out at that. Ha ha, we got more than you.
Right. Well, and you know what? Good for Barrett-Jackson to do this and drive that much revenue to charities. And we've had some dealings with those guys, and they do seem to be really, really good at what they do.
Right.
And they are well known for that. I just would this have happened 15 years ago, Jay?
No. No, we've
car number
we've got
one. Who cares?
Yeah, we've
right?
got such a shift now. It's but these are unique vehicles. Again, this is the first edition of.
Well,
yeah. And by the way, speaking of,
go ahead.
By the way, speaking of that, let me tell you what it was. It was a fully loaded first edition model in the exclusive lightning blue paint. Has navy pure leather trim seats. Has a 2.7 liter V6 EcoBoost. Connected to, unfortunately, a 10-speed automatic transmission.
There you go.
Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, well, you got to get the, here. There you go. Yeah, because if you want the V6, you got to go with an automatic, as we've learned. So you're not going to get a manual transmission right now in a 6.
One more went that day, or over the weekend. 001 VIN as well. It was the 2021 Ram 1500 TRX launch edition. It only sold for $410,000, but all the proceeds there went to the United Way for Southeastern Michigan. Also on Friday, $500,000 was raised to benefit Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation with the sale of a 2021 Ford Mustang Mach 1 Fastback VIN 001.
There you go. So. Now those TRX, they're out. Like we saw one the other day, and that is a
cool,
good-looking truck. So that
it is, man. I've seen
one was
as well.
held back a little bit to auction a little later because you can actually go. You can put your order in right now and take delivery pretty quickly on one of those.
Right.
And they are really, really aggressive, good-looking Ram truck. I mean, it's very different than the rest of the your typical Ram pickup truck.
I like them. I do. Of course,
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
Just because I'm me and I can't leave this alone.
Okay.
I think it's probably better that these VIN 001s go to a museum somewhere, which clearly is what's going to happen in these cases. Because, Jay, how many times have you gotten it perfectly the first time you've done something? Right? Like, here, let me refine that question a little bit. You've worked on cars before, right? You've turned wrenches.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. You know how to change brake pads, right?
Sure.
You know how to turn rotors, right?
Well, I am a car guy. That's what it says right here, dude.
Yeah, right. Okay. First time that you do that with a model that you haven't seen or touched before.
Right.
Is it going to be your best?
No. You can try your best, but there's going to be something that...
There's always a learning experience that
absolutely,
you come back and do better the next time.
Absolutely, and you'll do it best the next time. As technicians, that's what we do. We learn as we go.
I'm thinking these first few rolling off the assembly line, I don't know, man. I know they train them in advance. You guys are going to point that out to me and all that. But, I have family that put these cars together, assembled these and trucks. I'm just saying it's a good thing those are going to probably end up in a museum. That's all. I'll leave it alone.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't disagree with the fact that, given the human element, you're going to have that happen. And, unfortunately, we do have statistical processing controls in place to prevent that from happening. But, there are people that are monitoring those statistical process controls, and sometimes things get by. And I've been in manufacturing a lot in my life, and I can tell you that there is probably not any production run that there isn't some issue. There always is. That's just the way it goes. Trust me when I tell you this. So you bring up a good point, no doubt about it. So there you go, guys. Good causes. VIN 0001 or 001 for all those vehicles, and good causes, and good for Barrett-Jackson for doing all that stuff. So.